recess session of the Gibson County Legislative Body would please come to order. Good evening, everyone. Appreciate everyone being here. We've got a good crowd tonight, good crowd in the gallery. We appreciate your participation in tonight's meeting. At this time, I'm going to call on Commissioner Violet Stokes to please lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. God and gracious Father in heaven, come unto you once again in prayer, thanking you for sparing our lives for this good hour, giving us this privilege once more to assemble and pass this presence to conduct the affairs before us. We pray, Father, that you would look down upon us as we make our decisions tonight, that they might be pleasing and acceptable in thy sight, that it might be most beneficial to all concerned, and most of all pleasing to you. Father, we realize this time that we're living in a time of turmoil, unrest throughout the world. We ask you to look down upon the leadership, help them that they might search for peace and goodwill toward all mankind, be our will. That people might be able to go out, make their living, sustain their families without fear of evil. We realize, Father, that we make mistakes, do things we should not, leave them doing things that we should be doing, for these shortcomings we beg thy forgiveness. Most of all, Father, we thank you for thy Son, who that cruel cross and suffered and died for us. And we never take this for granted. Pray that you'll be with the less fortunate, the sick, the needy, the bereaved, the distressed. Even our military serving our country throughout the world, especially those in the war zones. May they soon be back to their home walks of life safely. Pray that you'll guide us as we go along through life. May we conduct our daily lives in such a way that we might not become a stumbling block to anyone. Continue with us and find in heaven safe when this life is over. For we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, thank you to everyone for being here this evening. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Michael Longmire. Commissioner Cunningham. Commissioner Sykes.
Here.
Commissioner Barker.
Here.
Commissioner Carr. Commissioner Macklin.
Here.
Commissioner James Longmire.
Here.
Commissioner Shelton.
Here.
Commissioner Stokes.
Here.
Commissioner Cameron.
Here.
Commissioner Summers.
Here.
Commissioner Overall. Commissioner Wayne Morris.
Here.
Commissioner Melvin Morris. Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Flake. Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Copeland. Commissioner Lieberman.
Here.
Commissioner Stone.
Here.
Commissioner Steele. Commissioner Yergin.
Here.
Commissioner Childress.
Here.
Commissioner Moss.
Here. $17 present, 8 absent. We have a quorum there. At this time, if it would please the body, I would like to ask for a motion to suspend the rules and move the discussion of drug-free workplace and insurance to the top of the list and move the scholarship to second. Mrs. Burke has had a scheduling conflict and won't be able to be here at this time, and she may come in at any minute, but if not, I'm going to forward the discussion of that scholarship. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to suspend the rules. Motion made by Commissioner Moss, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you. That said, at this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Cotton to offer discussion on the drug-free workplace policy.
Commissioners, this has been in some discussion that we've had in the past, but anyway, in your packet that you received, everyone should receive a Gibson County Government Personal Policy and Procedures. So at this time, I'd like for you to find that in your packet. I will open the floor to the commissioners if they have any questions, if I can do my best to try to answer any questions that you might have.
Mr. Collins, the question I'd asked earlier, I just wanted to make sure that we would have direct savings from the men we're going to contract with. Our insurance savings will be more than enough to pay for part of it.
At this time, Commissioner Kimmery, yes, it will, but there are still some issues that we haven't completely all worked out yet. But yes, with the drug-free workplace and the safety program that we want to implement, that's going to be a savings to the county of around $24,000 a year. So we feel free that it won't nearly that much, but some of this is confidential. It's going to be based on the number of, and of course, if it passes with the commission, then the number of employees, and then he will come up with some kind of percentage on who that, when he does come. He doesn't have a set time on where he does once a quarter, 2 times a year, 1 time a year. That's all left up to him. We don't get involved with that because we're not. That's not our business. We're just, so I can't really give you a dollar amount.
And the other question I have for you, or suggestion I would like to ask you, that Sheriff Arnold address the commissioner, since he has the most employees of any department in the county. I'd ask permission that Sheriff Arnold discuss our drug policy we have now.
Mr. Chairman, you have my permission.
Well, Commissioner Collins yields the floor for Sheriff Arnold. Sheriff, if you would.
Thank you, Commissioner Yard. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I applaud the efforts of Mayor Witherspoon and the Insurance Committee on taking steps to create a drug-free workplace. I've had a drug policy in my set of general orders since 2006. I am fortunate that I have not had to use those except 4 times in 2006, and those times resulted in termination and prosecution. I see our policy, one, as the sheriff's office is different from regular employees. Law enforcement officers must be held to a higher standard. And the only perhaps question I have to the insurance committee or request is, don't set it to where I can't weed out employees who abuse drugs. There's no place in law enforcement for officers who abuse drugs, just as officers who commit acts of violence or theft or dishonesty. They should not serve people who put their trust in us. I would urge you, I would ask you to seriously consider passing this legislation. I think it's good. The mayor briefed me on it. I pledge my support to him on the legislation. And I say again, there's no place in the workplace for illegal drugs. There's certainly no place for law enforcement officers who abuse drugs, and they should be terminated. I hope not to be put in a situation where I have to offer an officer rehab. I don't want to rehabilitate him if he has abused drugs. I want to get rid of him. So there again, thank you for this opportunity, Your Honor, and I hope that this legislation can pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff, for your input. Anything else you'd like to add, Commissioner?
Okay, Commissioner Sykes?
Yeah, I just wondered, in this legislation, is there any loopholes for a employee that got caught with the illegal drugs to actually stay on his job? Is there any loopholes that would actually let him get rehabilitated and come back?
Not the way I read it, but I may have to call on the county attorney, but I think it says it goes back to the department head. But once that test is done and it comes back, of course confidential, to the department head, that's where it will come back to whoever that person is working under. It will come back to them, and then at that time I'm sure that this will be new to us, that we'll have to seek legal advice. But it says in there several times, it says, it will be left up for termination. But that's going to be left up to, to the department head. But, I think you just heard it from what the sheriff said. I mean, if it happens in his law enforcement office and that comes, there's not even going to be a question asked. And we have another, a group in our county that's already been doing drug testing for some time. And he's been put in that position before, and it's led to termination. So I feel free, and it's going to be a period in here that everyone, employees will have to sign a letter, saying that, they know that this is a drug-free workplace if it passes this commission. And they will, it'll be some time before it goes into effect. So we're not going to do something tonight and it's going to go into effect in the morning. We're not picking on anybody. We just feel like that this is the best direction for our county to go. Nobody said any better than just what the sheriff said, and that's his business, and that's who he goes after. So I just feel like this is something. Of course, it's going to save us some money, and that is part of it. But that's not the only reason why I'm standing up here. If someone in our county that's an employee that does have a problem, maybe this will be the only way that they can get rid of that problem. So I'm looking at it as a positive. We're not picking on anyone.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
I saw in the policy it stated something about rehabilitation, and if a person misused the rehabilitation, then they can be terminated. Or do that mean that if a person has been an alcoholic for a long period of time and they just now discovered that they've got that problem, they ask for help? Is that what that portion is?
No.
Council, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah.
On that?
Yeah.
And I reached out before and asked him to help us put this together, and Bobby and I, Commissioner Collins and I discussed it, and we reached out to some surrounding counties who had some ironclad policies in place, and we tried to get the best of all of it in here. And I think it's a pretty thorough policy. I hadn't worked in the private sector. I've worked under more strict.
I didn't quite finish. I meant before they took the drug test, drug alcohol test, and flocked to different persons.
Right, I got you. The answer is, if you have an employee that violates the policy and the department head determines that they're going to, and it doesn't require, Commissioner Sykes asked, is it automatic termination? No, it's up to the department head. The department head could say, hey, Floyd, you've got this problem and you're gonna have to get counseling, and that's gonna be my discipline for you, that you're gonna get that counseling. If they say no, of course, then the department head will terminate. But if they take the counseling and then after that, while they're doing the counseling, test positive, no, then they'll be out. It's a second chance program if the department head allows it. It can also lead to termination immediately. Sheriff Arnold was obviously, he has a different standard for his people. And the rest of the department heads may too. One more thing, not to dominate up here, but remember that you all are not the employers. You're not the employers of the employees in the department. The department head is the employer. And so you can't dictate, without the department head's approval, these things. So this is what the committee worked out how to.
Bobby?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Page 2 is a little bit confusing to me. First paragraph, under the first paragraph, it says alcohol. It goes on to give a definition of alcohol beverage. I guess all liquid medications containing alcohol. It says alcohol testing is not required for job applicant testing. Alcohol testing is not required for job applicant testing. The next paragraph, second sentence, says any offer of employment shall be conditioned upon passing of a urine test for alcohol. So it's a little confusing for me in there.
Mayor, Alan, would you please on that?
Something about the second paragraph, when it say job applicant.
I think
Alcohol test should be required. And then the next paragraph is second sentence.
well,
An offer of employment shall be passing of urine and not test for alcohol. A little confusing right now. So one spot says not a condition, and the next one, paragraph says it is.
Yeah, we,
Is that am I reading it wrong, or is it?
I would think that, no, you're not reading it wrong. I think that we need to take out that last sentence. Alcohol testing is not required for job applicant testing, but it is.
Yeah.
It is, right, okay, that's good. Yeah, we just fixed that. Bobby, you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Just take out the second sentence of that little so-called
Please
paragraph.
read the label
Please
for
read the
content.
label for content. Then that last alcohol testing is not required for job applicant testing. We'll take that out. That's just an error.
So we're striking the last sentence in the first paragraph of page 2.
Yeah. I mean, you can put, please read the label for content, that's fine, just put period and just take out that fragment, alcohol testing is not required for job applicant testing. That's just an error on my part. I'm glad you caught it.
I think maybe we were assuming they'd show up sober for the job interview.
Better you hope so.
Is it as close as we can get to the Tennessee Drug-Free Workplace Act?
Yes.
And Floyd and I talked about it, and the committee talked about it, and he did a lot of research and came up with this, and then we emailed back and forth, and Mayor looked over it and all, and then it was considered, and then that's when I passed it along to my insurance committee and then to y'all. But I wanted everyone to have it in the packet, like you, Commissioner Barker, to actually look over it if you had any questions, because you know, we can stand up here and talk to you, but when you read something, you look at it, something might come to your mind that you wouldn't come. Okay?
I have a question for Floyd. Floyd, is there a problem for the county in any way, legally or whatever, if a person is tested positive for a certain drug and they're allowed to go to rehab, and then another department head says, you know, that's not the chance here, you're terminated? Is that a problem, or, you see what I'm asking?
Yeah, I do. It goes back to, again, no, it's not a problem. It might be a problem within that department. Yeah. But again, you guys are not the employers of the employees of the county, and that, so the answer is no. Each department head will determine that. But that's a great question.
I've got Ricky Graves is with us here, and he's our safety coordinator. Did Mark Fogarty indicate at the last safety meeting we had that the savings would be upwards of close to 50,000? Did he not? Was that the savings that he thought we could?
Well, again, it depends a lot on the expense, and he says it has to be done, but there's been 3 or 4 figures that tell me up, I understand, 30,000.
Okay.
I was a little on the.
So 25 anyway. Yeah.
I said 20, yeah.
At least that much.
Cobb? Mr. Cobb?
You need to address.
Hey, if you would stand and state your name if you'd like to address.
Paul Jones, on the savings that the county is going to incur, you're going to pay more for drug testing. You're not paying that now for employee, right? So how will you save any monies if you implement drug testing?
I'll answer that question if you don't mind. I met with the Highway Department Superintendent, Mr. Carl Stoppenhagen, this morning. They already have the policy in place with the company we're looking to use, and we're just looking to expand that program, and the prorated cost according to the number of employees he has. I think he has 40 employees. We're looking at it being around $9,000. So I figured at $10,000 to be high on that. So I think we could implement it and operate it for 10,000 or less
But that's
a year.
still $10,000 additional dollars.
But we're saving 25,000. When you spend 10,000 to save 25,000,
Explain how we're saving the
Okay.
25.
we're
Okay,
saving $25,000 on our workman's comp premiums that we currently pay. We pay workman's comp premiums to the local government insurance pool.
Right.
They're saying if we implement this county-wide policy, they're gonna knock 25,000 off of that. It'll cost us $10,000 to do it.
Okay.
You'd spend 10,000 to save 25,000, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I'm wanting it crystal clear how we're gonna save that money, see?
I really don't know how I can make it any clearer.
Up to now, it wasn't crystal clear. We were just gonna implement this policy, and it's like anything else, when you implement policies, it costs more money. It was never explained or brought up how we're gonna save this 25,000, that you're talking about.
Well, Mr. Jones, I apologize to you for failing in my duty to clarify this issue.
That's fine, that's fine.
now, I appreciate you addressing the issue, but what we're paying now for workman's comp,
Right,
okay,
right.
is an amount of money, okay?
Right.
And they say if we implement a drug-free workplace, then just say you got $100,000 and they're gonna knock off, we're conservative saying $24,000, okay? They're gonna knock that off, okay? Then once we implement it, if it passes the commission, once we implement it, then we're gonna turn around and spay, and I'm gonna say we're gonna pay $15,000, okay? So we still got $9,000 that we're saving. Plus, it's gonna do something for the county, because when you're calling the sheriff department, you calling the volunteer fire department, you calling an ambulance out to your house, you need help, don't you want the best people you can have to come?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to know. I didn't want to upset the mayor.
You're not upsetting me at all.
I didn't want to get nasty with the mayor. Please don't get nasty with me, Mayor. Okay? So I got to say.
If you call that getting nasty, buddy, you live a charmed life, that's all I gotta say. We appreciate your input.
It could be a little more civil.
Yeah, you may need to come spend some time with me in my office if you call that nasty.
Don't get nasty. That's all.
Okay, hey.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you for your comment. You may be seated. Thank you.
And on
We
the-
appreciate your comment.
And on the department heads, this is left up to them to do the disciplinary action, right?
Yes, sir.
Goes to the department head.
Yes, sir. And they're gonna abide by this cost.
Even then, the department heads are not exempt from these drug tests, right?
No, sir.
Okay. It's from the top to the bottom.
That's what it says. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'll be the first one to take it.
Going forward then, each constitutional officer will have a drug policy for their department. Which will be this,
Which will be this right here.
they've adopted it.
If we adopt it, this is what it's gonna be right here.
Okay. That's not what I was hearing. I thought each department head would have something.
No, they,
No.
They'll sign on.
there's
that way.
there's
Yeah.
a sheet at the back that says accept one.
Earlier
Each-
you said that some could dismiss employees or discipline.
No, the question was, the question was from Commissioner Sykes, was, will the person be terminated on the first offense? And the answer is that's up to the department head. They will have the discretion from what to what. It's up to them. It's in
To offer rehabilitation or not, and it's up to the department head to point to suspicious behavior and order testing of the individual would be left strictly up to the department heads.
Thank you.
I think, this goes back to Ronnie Riley. I mean, people think that the mayor, the county mayor is the boss of everybody. And really, he's only the boss of about 4 people. How many have you got in your office?
We've got 3 in my office, animal control officer, and
That's
3
it.
department heads that the county commission can reinstate anytime they want to if I don't like it.
That's right. So, I mean, I wasn't picking on the mayor, but the reality is that each department head is over more people than the county mayor. So, that's how it works.
Commissioner Scott, may I address
Yes, ma'am.
this? Mayor,
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Cotton yields the floor to trustee Leanne Smith.
I promise to speak quick. I have a question.
You just take your time.
As many of you know, and I'm sorry, I've been sick for several years. Been going out on 2 months. And I've taken a lot of medication over the years. I still take a lot of medication. But I don't drive. I don't even own a car. My husband or my co-workers and my sister-in-law, whoever's available, will come and pick me up. And I'm well aware of when I'm not able to work, and I know that has been a problem for some people. But I would just like to say that I agree strongly this needs to be in effect. I agree totally that this needs to be in effect. But I just have a couple of questions that I just need to know. Will this be random drug testing?
Yes, ma'am. If it passes.
Okay. And what all will it be tested, will be tested?
It's in the key part, it's really broad. but-
Yeah, it's really all.
I just,
For a lot.
and it will be for all county employees?
Yes, ma'am.
Not, okay. That's great. I think that's great. And thank God that he's given me such a wonderful office personnel to work with to help me when I couldn't get my head off the pillow. But I just want y'all to know that I believe this is a good policy. I knew when the time came a couple of years ago that I sold my car. I said, I won't be driving, not with medication in it, that I know that it's strong enough to keep me off the road. And I think that that's very smart, very good idea. And I just appreciate, I wanted to make sure that it would be random and that it would be countywide. And I don't mean to put my personal life into it, it's just that I know how I was affected by medication. Even, I'm talking about prescribed medication. No illegal drugs, I promise you. Never hadn't had an ounce of alcohol since I was old enough to know better. But I do take, prescription drugs, and I do think that they obscure my driving abilities. If I'm not able to come into work, I don't come into work. And I think I think that this is a great policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. We appreciate your service to us, and it's been an honor serving with you. Thank you.
Thank you, and honor to serve with y'all too.
Mayor, let me
Thank you.
you kind of dovetail what Leanne said, okay? If everybody has medications that they take, and they just need certainly in this policy to let their department heads know it, but if they forget to or don't, this testing is good enough to know exactly what you're taking and the level that you're taking it. So if you test positive, someone like Leanne, that would be test positive for some medications, as long as it's consistent with the prescription given by your doctor who says you can come to work, you're good to go. And that's not a violation of the policy. So, there's a lot of lawyers in this room, so but we know that. But certainly if you're an employee or you department heads have employees that are taking a prescribed medication, they certainly need to let you know about it. And as long as they're within that prescription, then it's not a violation. Is there any more questions that need to be talked about, discussed?
Commissioner Cotton, I've got a question. Well, thank you, Dan, somebody asked a question. You said that the confidential results of the drug test would come back to the department heads. If the department heads are subject to testing, who receives the report on the department heads?
Well, I have talked, I'm not gonna call this person's name, but anyway, I have contacted a county employee that's already implementing this program. And we do have to have one person, and possibly we're gonna have another backup person, and we don't have those persons named exactly yet. Because when they get ready to random drug test, then all the names will be put in there. So somebody has to be notified of who these people are. So then they have to notify that person to be wherever at a certain time to get that done. So I'm saying, but we don't, you know, this hadn't passed. So I mean, there's some things that we're gonna have to work out. I mean, it may not pass. So I mean, I'm not rushing to do things, but I have contacted at least one person here that said that they would be available and would take the responsibility to be directly in contact with the drug testing.
And that's a good question, by the way. And that's something that the insurance committee would want to work out once this policy is put in place.
That's right.
Yeah. Any further questions for Commissioner Collins? This time I'd like to entertain them. Yes, sir.
Mark Justice from Humboldt. Sir, if they go through the rehab, they're allowed to come back to work.
If they gotta pass the drug test.
That's right. But if they do it again down the road, is there a two-strike and they're out policy?
It
Or are they
goes-
gonna be allowed to go through rehab again and keep costing the county money?
It's gonna go back to the department head, and I think what you've already heard from two people tonight, I think they represent your county very well, and I don't think that would be a problem. Now, I can't speak, I'm not a department head, and I'm not an employee, but I'm just saying, I think what you've already heard, that they want this program to be implemented and to run smoothly and right for the citizens of this county.
And the rehab will be offered at the expense of the employee.
That's right. Well, county's not, we're not gonna, so if they want, and if they go through it, we hope it will, justify their problem and put them back to employment with us. Yes, I mean, we're gonna do, but the department heads are gonna have a lot of responsibility.
Any further discussion?
Do we want to vote on this before we talk about the insurance?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Would you like to make a motion to adopt this policy?
Yes, sir.
Motion made by Commissioner Cotton, do I hear a second? Second made by Commissioner Steele. Any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, let's do a roll call vote on this, please.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Sykes,
Yes.
Commissioner Barker,
Yes.
Commissioner Macklin,
Yes.
Commissioner James Longmire,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelton,
Yes.
Commissioner Stokes,
Yes.
Commissioner Kimmery,
Yes.
Commissioner Summers,
Yes.
Commissioner Wayne Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Leatherman,
Yes.
Commissioner Stone,
Yes.
Commissioner Steele,
Yes.
Commissioner Yergin,
Yes.
Commissioner Childress,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss.
Yes.
18-4, it passes. Thank you. Motion carried.
And I want to thank the insurance committee for their hard work in us getting together, and I also want to thank Floyd Flippin, our county attorney, for spending time and getting this together. So we'll be going through the procedures, and department heads will be getting the correct information.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay. All right, I want you to take just a little bit, also in your packet, on the back side of that, you should have gotten a thing, 2 pieces of paper together saying the Gibson County Government Commercial Insurance. So I'm gonna give you a little time. It should be on the back of the drug policy, on the very back. I think that's right. You see something where it says 13, 14, and 14, 15, talk about comparisons. And Ms. Lanita and I met with our insurance carrier, which we're in a pool, and that's good and bad. It reflects, if you have a lot of claims, and we don't have very many, you have to go with whatever it is. But anyway, I just want you to take just a minute and look down through there where it says coverages, and you'll see where it says property, and also where it says include autos. Look over at the difference. You see that $1,194,969? That is when we got rid of the bank building, where we had the, so that's off the road now, so we don't have that. So somebody might see that amount of money, and you might. Goes with the number of employees, and of course I'm not gonna go through, you see 2013, 2014, and then the difference. You see law employees, autos, and then you look at the payroll. But what I do want to talk to you about, where it talks about the premiums, we're talking about the package including the autos. You see 2013, and you see 2014, and you see the difference over there of $33,922. That went up 3%. Next one is a workman's comp. You see 2013, 2014, you see the difference of $23,801. Workman's comp went up 5%. So we're in this pool, so whatever the pool is, and maybe sometimes we've helped other people, and we might have hurt other people at different times, but this is what it is. But you look down there and you see the figures. When you look at your totals, see the total for 2014, you see 709,818. But then also look underneath that where it says note, and this was just brought to our attention now. I wanted to let you look at it and see, but you see where it says to add liability to general liability, law enforcement liability, auto, and goes on and says public office liability would be indeed. What we have the option to do is, we have the option to add an extra $1 million to this policy. And the cost for us to add $1 million is $7,446. So I wanted y'all to look at that and think about it. It's just an option. If we want to do that, we can vote to add that. If we want the extra $1 million, if we don't, then we don't have to, because you have the figure. So what I want to do is, if you look at down there, you see where it says the total package premium would be, $390,941. If you go back up and look under, package where it says including autos for 2014, where you see 383,495, that would increase to 390,941. The workman's comp, of course, would stay the same, and that, but that figure would change to be $717,264. So any of those, that's what that is now. So what I want to do in a minute when I ask for this vote, do we want to leave the package like we have it now, or do we want to add the extra $1 million worth of coverage for $7,446? And that would make the difference there. So I want y'all to, of course, I'm kind of throwing these numbers out at you a little bit wrong. Okay, Commissioner Steele?
I mean, why would we need that $1 million cost?
Well, and I'm gonna, of course, John Hale's not here, but like what he explained, you know, we've had a lot of things to, and I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna use Chuck's department. Just say that something were to happen, and you know, of course, the first thing that people do now, and Floyd can tell you, and there's other people here, first thing they want to do is sue the county. You know, if it's a gravel truck or it's a police car, it's an ambulance, a wreck, whatever. First thing they see Gibson County on it. What do they want to do? And this just protects us a little bit more than what we have. It's just an extra $1 million.
But do we have enough like it is?
Yes, sir. I said it was just an option, but he gave it to us, so I'm presenting it to y'all. So I mean, you can't ever have enough. I don't think any of us ever have enough, and we might not have enough with the extra $1 million, but yes, sir.
I got a question. Well,
Okay.
I've been seeing on TV where they're saying the fact that these, I call hospital chases, where they're advertising that you got a lawsuit, you need to get it done before July the 1st, because the laws are going to change. About the amount of money that you can get.
Yeah.
So why would we need another $1 million if it's going to be a flat rate? It's just going to be a flat rate that people can get.
That's a good point. If you're asking, is the legal climate for Tennessee better for lower verdicts and lower judgment, the answer is yes, lower. Yes, but you've got some things, non-economic damages are covered by that, but economic damages are not covered by that cap. So who asked, do we have enough? Alice, you asked that? Well, tell me what kind of accident that we're gonna have and how many people are involved and what their injuries are. Then I know, I don't need it.
Well, do you feel comfortable we fully insured or not?
Oh, yeah, we are fully insured, absolutely we are. And what Mr. Mackin's talking about, we have had tort reform. That would be something that makes you feel a little bit better about not doing it.
Well, if that was your person, what would you do?
Well, I'm a lawyer, people won't let me go. They're gonna sue me, so that's different. Now, for Bobby, I think he'd be okay.
No, I mean, and in the discussion that we had, I mean, he just threw that out. He said for that, you know, and it's just an option. You know, that's why I gave you the figures of what it was, and that's why I gave you the figures of what it could be if we added it. But no, this is the will of this commission, and you know, it just was time for renewal, and he just said, hey, this is what we'd like to do for you if it's the will of the committee. I said I present it to him, and he's okay with it without.
Well, is it like if somebody sues you for $2 million and we got $1 million payout, is it gonna pay them another $1 million?
I'm not an insurance agent, so I you know, I can't answer that. I mean, I didn't ask him to come tonight, but Miss Lanita, I mean, you know, I'm not going to answer that because Keith, I don't know. That's not my business.
We've been lucky so far and blessed, and we just got a bill from Floyd the other day, and it's, I mean, how much was it, Floyd? 13,000 of what did we have budgeted? 35,000. So, you know, but that's not to say it won't change next year. I mean, are you offering this? Are you recommending that we do?
I want someone to either. That's why I wanted to present it. If someone here in the commission wants to stay like it is, I'm for that. If someone wants, if we want to discuss it and wants to do that, then that's fine. I mean, I wanted to bring both numbers out.
Why don't we just adopt it like we had last year, and then if this guy comes to present
Okay.
something to us and thinks beneficial, we can always add that to it.
That's fine. But I appreciate Mr. Corey, you agree, but, I mean, he asked, you know, we were in a committee, he asked me to do it, so but it's fine. Okay?
Are you would you like to put that in form of a motion, Commissioner Yergin, to adopt as presented? Motion's been made by Commissioner Yergin to adopt the report as presented, and seconded by Commissioner Stokes. And Commissioner Barker's called for discussion.
This might be for Floyd. I believe last year the pool came out with coverage for discrimination lawsuits and judgments and things of that nature. Is that covered under this public official's liability? My understanding is an additional coverage that you have to purchase in order to have that, just in case somebody would sue the mayor for discrimination or something.
Yeah, that's not normally covered, that's right.
That's correct.
That's correct, it's not normally covered.
But it's a new coverage they offer now.
Right.
Is that in this public official's liability?
I think, yeah, we have coverage now for discrimination, do we not, Mr. Mayor? I wouldn't know, because I'm not discriminating.
That's something for us to check into, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But if y'all are looking, Corey, your motion was that we keep it and not raise it $1 million, correct? Okay, that's correct.
What we've got is let this man come back and talk to us.
Okay.
If he thinks he's presented us with a plan, we'll look at it next time. But I can tell you, just adopt.
And in the meantime, Commissioner Barker, we'll have a better answer for you about where we stand now and does this additional coverage offer that.
Yeah, if it's affordable, I think we need to really seriously look at it if we can afford it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, likewise. Thank you, and thank you for your report and all your hard work, Commissioner Cotton.
Thank you.
Does anybody see Chamber Director Burke here? I don't, she's had a scheduling conflict and isn't able to attend. In light of that, I would recommend a motion to table the Jumpstart Scholarship for the night until our next meeting when we have to come back. I'll find out what's happening. A motion made by Commissioner Shelton, seconded by Commissioner Moss. All those in favor, vote saying aye. Aye. And opposed, like sign. Now on the fund. You have a list of budget transfers, and I believe Ms. Anita offered me an updated budget transfer. Do I hear a motion on the budget transfers? Motion made by Commissioner Steele, seconded
Second.
by Commissioner Barker. All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, likewise. Thank you. This time I'd like to call Commissioner Shelton to offer discussion on our budget.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioners and visitors. Kind of before I start, maybe, Commissioners, you have some pages that were sent to you that are the county highway budget. There were some problems with the original one you got, now this has been corrected. So those pages, the page would go in your work papers and your final budgets. You can pull those duplicates out and use those if you found them. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 pages. And kind of number 2 is the little money I wanted to talk about, just kind of before we got started. You know, there was this discussion about the drug-free policy and the discount or savings that we'll get off of that. comp. Well, part of what you just approved in budget transfers was for some additions to workers' comp this last year. And you'll see that on page 2 if you look under the transfers that we had. And the reason I cut out and go through that is because with budget figures is what you're concerned with primarily. And you'll notice that line items 513, they are all workers' comp items. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 or 11 there. And what they represent, if you look at that last column, those are increases. And we just got those recently. So we didn't have those when we met a little earlier. So these are going to be increases. And the increases in here amount to, in workers' comp rates, now in workers' comp rates only, is $26,920 by my adding of these figures. But you also note, and Bobby pointed that out, that liability is going to increase $33,900. That was what he had before. And then liability, if you did that, would increase by $74,000. So there's about $60,000 in increase in insurance alone that was in this, that we did here. So now I'll kind of move over to actually to the budget side now, because those impact the budget in some ways that are, in my opinion, adverse. We need to get those unexpected bills like that, and I think we've all gotten some maybe in the winter. You got some of those adverse conditions when you got your winter heating and cooling bill through that cold spot, and that was kind of tough. So that kind of adversity affects your finances or your fund balances. What I would like to do first is you'll see the very first page, it says a resolution for making appropriations for various funds and departments. That is your budget, all the figures brought together out of here into here in one spot for you. The main thing that I would want to point out to you that is somewhat different, I just pointed out that increases in insurance and workers' comp. And so this is going to list all of those. These are current. The second page gives you the totals. You'll notice total general fund is $15,366,132. Solid waste management is $71,629. Drug control is $9,650. Public highway, which is those pages I told you about to put in there, is $5,891,345. Debt service, you'll see total general debt service fund is $1,747,185, which would give you a total, if you want the total of what all departments and all county and debt service would be, that's $23,085,941. Okay. And that is your budget that comes from all these, to put all those figures in one place. Does anyone have a specific question about any of that? But that, like I say, most of that's all used for those budget transfers and that insurance increase, because nothing else changed out there. no discussion on it, I would entertain a motion to approve the second reading of the budget.
Motion made by Commissioner Shelton. Do I hear a second? Second by Commissioner Miles. Any further discussion?
What about the tax credit?
That, you do it in 3 steps. Yeah, you do it in three steps. This is just the first step, setting your budget. Then the next step is gonna be talking about the nonprofits. That's gonna be the next thing that you approve, the nonprofits, which you have to approve tonight, and then we'll have to approve again, we'll reset to approve them. And then, of course, the third part is setting tax rate, and I'm gonna talk about that after we get there. So that's kind of the steps you go through.
Can we make an amendment?
Well, you've got a motion on the floor. Okay.
It can be amended.
Yeah, it can be amended.
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the rate to 10%.
Commissioner Steele has made a motion to amend the raises from a 4% pay raise included in the budget to a 2%. Is there a second on this motion?
Second.
Motion seconded by Commissioner Yergin.
Discussion.
Any further discussion?
We got discussion on the first motion. We're talking, that's the budget itself. How can we vote yes or no on the budget? We don't know what the tax rate is yet.
How can you know what the tax rate is, and you know what you're spending? This is my question.
You spend what the tax rate generates.
Well, if y'all want to talk about that, we can, but we've got a couple of motions out here. You need to know what you're going to spend before you set the tax rate.
If you put the cart before the horse, you got to set the tax rate a certain amount to fund the budget.
Let's take care of the motion regarding the raises. The motion on the floor, the live motion is a motion to reduce the raise from 4% to 2%. It's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion regarding this motion, the live motion?
Would somebody explain how much money did the difference in 50% do it for?
About $175,000.
Yeah, the 4% would cost about $350,000, 2% would be about $175,000.
What would be wrong with going back to the departments and seeing where they can trim some money?
Mr. Nader, would you like to speak?
This budget is figured on the first certified tax rate that we got, which was 0.925. That's what this budget is figured on. The tax levy at 0.925.
Right.
So with the 9334, it's going to generate about 80-something thousand more dollars.
The budget itself, Mr. Shelton, correct, but the budget itself is based on the result of our public hearings and what's been requested from the department heads themselves.
Absolutely.
Then we'll get into the tax rate problem.
First, we gotta vote on this amendment.
Motion's been made properly second. Do I hear any further discussion on the employee raise being lowered from 4% to 2%? If not, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.